Hi everyone, it's Rax. We have season 26 on the horizon, and of course that means that we have to make a brand new class tier list. We've got some buffs, we've got some nerfs, and we have a brand new game mode which we will also rank. Where does everybody land? We're going to find out right now. Let's quickly go over the methodology in case you are new to these videos. We rank all the classes in a bunch of different categories from first, which is the best, through seventh, which is the worst. There are no ties allowed. We've got to put them somewhere, even if it's a difficult decision. And the new theme and the patch notes are always included in the rankings. The speed category is their ability to detonate T16 rifts, bounties, and low-level GRs. Solo pushing is self-explanatory. How high can you push, and what's the quality of life in doing so? We have a brand new game mode, the Echoing Nightmare. We'll rank all the classes on how they do in there. Group DPS is how desirable are they to bring as a damage dealer, and what meta role do they fill? Are they a trash clearer, or are they an RGK, which stands for Rift Guardian Killer, which means you kill the boss at the end. Supports, how well do they support? Makes sense. A very important category, the casual category. If you play only a couple hours a week at the most, which class is going to give you the biggest bang for your buck? We lump all that into an overall category to rank the classes. Always have to mention this. The golden rule is always play what is fun to you. Don't let this tier list or any other resource on the internet influence your decision. Do whatever's fun for you. Let's review the Season 26 patch notes to see what changed. First of all, we have a new game mode called the Echoing Nightmare. When you're doing greater rifts at the end, a Rift Guardian will have a low chance to drop you a petrified scream. You can cube this to open a portal to this new game mode, which will send an endless wave of monsters after you until you are either killed or overwhelmed, which means there are too many monsters on the screen. Be warned that if you do die in hardcore, you do lose your character. So you've got to stay alive even in hardcore. And the rewards on the PTR were pretty good. You got a massive amount of XP, a lot of items, and I think they may even buff the rewards further by the time that it actually reaches Season 26. So we're all going to have to jump in there and just see what the rewards are. So the main goal for all the classes is, can you reach wave 150 at least to receive the maximum rewards? So for the classes, Barb's got a complete rework on Raycore, which was pretty much their worst set. It's very fun, it's very speedy, and it's very powerful, but it's very squishy. It's going to be at least A tier, but it might even end up S tier, and they may buff it by the time it's released, at least in terms of survivability, so we'll see what happens there. For Crusaders, their pony set was nerfed. It was just way too strong across many builds, so that makes sense. But they buffed Invoker to compensate for that. Crusader rankings haven't changed too drastically because of this. There were no changes to Demon Hunter, Necros, Witch Doctors, or Wizards. And Monks, their fire allies were nerfed 8 tiers. Everyone in the world knew that this was coming. But guess what? They're still S tier. And Monks are going to do just fine in the tier list, believe me. And they did finally fix the ally AI. Did you ever have your little water allies come out of waveform and they stopped working? Well, now they'll stay in waveform. Did you ever summon your fire allies and they didn't do any damage and just stood around confused? They fixed that as well, so everyone can rejoice for that. And one other thing that they changed is they adjusted the Greater Rift maps and mob types, at least the progression that they gave. Greater Rifts are going to be much better. They removed some of the worst maps like the sewers. And Greater Rifts now have a chance to roll as a Dream Rift, which will give you godly maps over and over and over with godly mob types all the time. Seems to be a pretty rare spawn for these, but it's going to be amazing when it actually happens. Now we jump into the classes, and coming in at the bottom, unfortunately, we have the Wizard. Now, Wizards themselves are not a bad class at all. They've got a lot of pretty good builds. They have Firebirds, they have Hydra, they have Twister, they have Chantotovirs. All of these are pretty darn good builds. The problem with Wizards is they are just not at the top for any of these categories. In fact, usually they're toward the bottom relative to the other classes. And when that happens in all of these different, categories, there's no place to put them other than the bottom. In speeds, they do decent. Again, Firebirds is pretty good. It's got infinite teleports, just not as good as some of the other classes. In solo push, they have one of the very best builds in the entire game, LOD Twister. Problem with LOD Twister is it's a little bit hard to gear for, it's a little bit hard to play, it's not casual friendly at all. You can certainly throw down an awesome clear with it, but it's going to take a lot of work. Echoing Nightmare is our new category. We're going to do our best to estimate what classes will do well. Obviously, besides having massive damage, one of the key things that you need to score well on an Echoing Nightmare is you need to have a lot of reach. You need to be able to reach the entire map very easily, because one of the most common ways to fail is not being able to hit all the enemies that spawn in the corners, and then you get overwhelmed. Wizards do okay with that because, again, Firebirds can teleport as much as they want, and you can lay Hydras everywhere to piss off all the monsters. So that helps Wizard do okay in the Echoing Nightmares. In group DPS, they're really toward the bottom. They can't trash clear at all. They are a decent RGK with Firebird Flame Blades, but they're not the top choice there either, and you don't bring them to speeds at all. So they're pretty much toward the bottom. Support Wizard is all right. It used to be a lot better before they buffed Support Demon Hunter, but no point to bring a Support Wizard either. And for casuals, they have a terrible starting set. Terrible. They start with DMO, so it would be a terrible choice to go Wizard next season if you don't have much playtime. Put all that together, they come out at the bottom for Season 26. We already covered their best builds. And for Season 27, we need a buff to Tal Rasha. That set is terrible. Coming in 6th, we have the Witch Doctor. And I'm glad to see that Witch Doctor is not at the bottom anymore, but they're not too far away from it. In speeds, they're last. They're just not a very fast class. They do okay. Yeah, you can play the chicken build, but the chicken build hits for like 3 damage, so you won't be able to play any GRs with it. They're just not a speedy class at all. In solo push, they're going to do pretty well between Zuni, Dagger of Darts, and Arashir. Zuni is probably the more powerful build, but it has 0 survivability, and I mean none. So again, this build is kind of out of reach for most casual players, but you could do very well with Arashir for sure. In Echoing Nightmare, they get 6th. Again, they're a little bit slow. It's going to be hard for them to reach all the corners. Maybe they can do that with Locust Swarm Pesty, but I don't think they're going to perform better than most classes. In group DPS, they are actually amazing because they are one of the absolute best trash clearers with Mundanugu, and I think that could be played at very high Paragon levels over some of the other choices, and they are an amazing RGK, which means that they are good at killing the boss at the end with Arashir. So you could definitely bring Witch Doctors to metas and be a super solid member. Support Witch Doctor was godly like 8 years ago. It's not godly anymore and won't be unless Blizzard changes it. For casuals, they do okay next season. At least we get Zuni. That's probably their most powerful build. Again, it doesn't have any survivability though. So if you like to play Glass Cannon, hit super hard, but take massive damage, that will work for you. Overall, we have them in 6th. Their best builds are Spirit Barrage, Arashir, and Zuni. And for Season 27, I'd like to see a little bit more of their pets buffed, and they need some more speed to be more viable in some more of these metas. Coming in 5th, we have the Crusader, which really hasn't changed much from last season. Their pony set got nerfed. That certainly doesn't help them. Invoker got buffed. It's an okay build, but Crusaders are pretty much in the same spot that they were last time. For speeds, they do okay. Fist of the Heavens is a very, very good speed build and has tremendous range. So Fist of the Heavens is definitely up there along with Bombardment. Bombardment, riding around on your pony and throwing the bombs, will certainly get the job done. In solo push, Crusaders always do well every season. Heaven's Fury is very good, and the Bomb Satyr is very good, like they are every single season. Not too many people are keen to play these builds. I couldn't really tell you why. I'm not a Crusader player either, but they can definitely get very high on the leaderboards without a doubt. In Echoing Nightmares, we think they will do pretty well. They got a pony that can go around and get everything. The bomb satyr will, fill the whole entire map with bombs, and it should do pretty well. And if it's strong enough, if Fist of the Heavens is strong enough, then that would be an amazing build if it can actually reach 150, if it's got the damage with all the pylons. Fist of the Heavens, you can fill the entire arena with lightning, and that will get it done. In group DPS, they're dropping a little bit. Crusader is not really the trash clearer, and Crusader is not really the RGK. They could do decent at either, but there's going to be better choices. Support Crusader is not a thing, really never has been, probably never will be. And for casuals, they have a decent, very safe starting set. They start with a con. It's nothing amazing, but you can certainly slap that on and have some success and at a minimum stay alive. So they're not too bad. Overall, they come in 5th. Their best builds are Bomb, Heaven's Fury, and Invoker. And for Season 27, I've been asking for this for a while. Their hammer build, it's there, it just sucks. I wish they would buff it. Moving up in the rankings, we have the Necromancer. And the Necromancer didn't get any buffs, so why is the Necromancer moving up? Well, the Necromancer is moving up because the Monk got nerfed. And because the Monk got nerfed, now it makes room for some other classes to come in and actually play. And the Necromancer is saying, yes, please, and they're going to fill a lot of those roles. For speeds, the Rat can detonate T16 and bounties and is also pretty good at doing the speed GRs. And Rathma is also a pretty good option as well. So speeds on Necro are okay. The problem with the Rat Necro is you die in one hit. It's just a total glass cannon, which is what slows them down a little bit, at least in the rankings. For solo push, Corpse Explosion is an amazing build, and I'm really surprised every season why more people don't play it. I played Corpse Explosion last season and cleared 150 no problem at all. It's still an amazing build, so I don't know why. It's just, I must be because people don't like waiting around for your Land of the Dead to come back up and, waiting 48 seconds or whatever the timer is to DPS, but Corpse Explosion can get it done on the solo boards. In Echoing Nightmares, we have Necromancers as the worst choice, and that's for one reason. You cannot freeze or stun enemies in the Echoing Nightmare, and that is terrible news for Necromancers because they cannot trigger their bonus of Crisbin's Sentence. Now, I still expect Necromancers will be able to clear 150 in the Echoing Nightmare, but man, not being frozen and not being stunned, that is not what Necromancers wanted to hear. In group DPS, Necromancers are easily the best. For the group speeds, Necromancers have Rats, which are the best XP meta by far, and it just has 2 Necromancer DPSers. And then when you go to the metas, the trash clear is either going to be the Poison Scythe Necro, or the Mundanuga Witch Doctor, or the Marauder DH, which seems to be becoming popular. Maybe it'll be the number 1. But for now, the Poison Scythe Necro is the very best. So they do all the damage in the speed metas, and they're the main trash clearer in the group metas. So Necros are like the very, very best. For supports, the support Z-Neck is very, very good, and it's critical for rat runs, so it gets 3rd place. And for casuals, Necro is by far the worst choice. First of all, you get a terrible set from the Hadrig's Gift. You get Pesty, which is just about as bad as DMO for the wizard. And all of the good things about Necromancers don't apply to casual players. You either have to play a Z-Neck and do rats, which casual players won't want to do, or you have to build LOD Corpse Explosion and push, which is not a casual friendly build at all. Or you have to build a rat, which dies in one hit to anything, or you have to learn how to play a Poison Scythe Necro Trash Clear and join a meta group. These are not things that casual players like to do at all, so they're by far the worst. Overall, you add all that up, they get 4th on the rankings. Their best builds are the LOD Mage build, which is the Rat, Rathma, Corpse Explosion, and the C-Neck, which is the support Necromancer. For Season 27, we need to take every single Necro set and buff it, because all the Necro sets suck. Coming in third, we have my personal favorite, the Barbarian. Now, the Barbarian got the brand new Rancor set, which is a very nice set, and a lot of people are going to have fun playing it, but I'm not sure it's quite strong enough to move much of their rankings, across the board. I guess we'll see. So for speeds, of course, they always have the Whirlwind build. It crushes T16, it crushes bounties, it's very good in speed GRs, and I do think Rancor will be at least as good in speed GRs, if not better for the Barb. So they're in the middle of the pack there, they're doing pretty well. In solo push, Barbarians really suffer. They really don't have any S-tier builds. If you can open the greatest rift of all time, maybe you can make something amazing happen with Hoda or with Whirlwind or something. But they just don't quite have the damage that some of the other classes have, so they're probably pound for pound the very worst solo pushing class. For Echoing Nightmares, we have them in fourth. We think Rancor can be pretty good. Rancor can move around the map very well and throw the boulders. Should do decently. And in group DPS, same problem as with solo pushing. They just don't do any damage. They can't damage in any kind of speed meta. They can't trash clear, and they can't RGK. They're the worst. In supports, they're always going to be the best. They give crowd control immunity. They give you tremendous survivability. They give you tremendous damage. They pull all the monsters to you, and they pixel them in one little spot for you to blast down with area damage. All those things are invaluable for the Barbarian. For casuals, it's going to be a pretty good season. They are going to give you the brand new Rancor set at the beginning. The Rancor set is a little bit squishy. Well, actually, it's very squishy, but you can just pick up a Band of Might and build it a little bit tanky, and you should have a lot of fun charging around and throwing the boulders and one-shotting the entire map. I think it will be pretty good for you. Overall, that puts Barb in third. Their best builds are Whirlwind, Hammer of the Ancients, Frenzy, Rancor, Leapquake, and Z-Barb. They've got a lot of pretty good builds. And for Season 27 request, honestly, it should be a Season 26 request. Everybody is asking, Blizzard, when you release Rancor, can you please give them some damage reduction? Because you get plowed on this build. Coming in number 2, we have the Demon Hunter. And why not? Because they have a bunch of 2s in their ranking. 2-2, 1-3, 2-2-2. Demon Hunters are really, really good at everything in this game. For speed, they're super fast with the God DH. Marauder is probably a little bit slower. God DH can fly through the T16 and the bounties. And Marauder, while a little bit slower, just hits so hard. Just lay your sentries and you can just walk through rifts and just watch everything die in front of you. In solo push, we think Demon Hunters are going to be one of the most popular classes. And we think Marauder is going to do incredible things, probably getting all the way up to rank 2. They're going to have a very, very nice time pushing up the boards. In Echoing Nightmare, we think they're the absolute best. Marauder, again, you just lay all your sentries in the middle and you just shoot in every direction. You're going to be able to aggro everything, and those turrets are going to plow everything. You take the pylons and you are going to be able to reach the maximum tier with pretty much no difficulty. We expect this to be the best build in the game. In group DPS, they're moving up a couple of spots, mostly just because the Monk got nerfed. Demon Hunters could very well be the trash clear. It seems to be kind of the flavor of the month to bring a Marauder DH instead of a Witch Doctor or a Necro, so we'll have to see which one actually ends up being the best. They can RGK if you're desperate for one with Impale, but that's not really what you want to bring. And I guess you could bring them to speeds, except rats are way too strong. But still, that puts them in much better spot than the other classes, so we have them in third. Support Demon Hunters are incredible. They give you so much extra damage. They are super, super popular. And for casuals, guess what set they're giving you at the start? Marauder. Wow. They're giving you essentially the best set for free. So if you want to do the new game mode with Echoing Nightmares, how does it sound to start with the very best set? It's pretty ridiculous. How could they be beat by any class? Well, we'll find out next slide. But overall, they're in rank 2. But make no mistake, Demon Hunters are godly at everything. Their best builds are Marauder, God, Impale, and the support Demon Hunter. And for Season 27, we really need some kind of buff to Natalius because that set is terrible. And at the top, what happens when you take the very best class and take their best build and nerf it 8 tiers? You still end up in first. It's the Monk. Monk is still the best. class in Diablo 3 in Season 26. In speeds, the water allies are not only back in their same form, they're actually better because Blizzard is going to keep them in their wave form now. They fixed it, and I tested it on the PTR, and it's amazing. So they only got better. And the water allies do incredible in Greater Rifts, and even it's becoming very popular to play the Earth allies now. Now that fire got nerfed, now that you're not limited to just playing fire and water. So their speed is really unmatched. In solo push, we expect them to get first either with one of the Ina builds, probably Ina Earth ally, or LOD Wave of Light. Yeah, you remember that build that was super godly last season that nobody played because everyone was playing Inas? Well, guess what? It's still here and it didn't get nerfed. And LOD Wave of Light blasts the entire screen down and it hits really, really hard. So probably going to get first in solo push as well. In Echoing Nightmares, they will do amazing. Once again, put on the Ina Water ally or put on LOD Wave of Light, which hits the entire world. You guys already know the water allies. You can teleport around and go hit the entire map. It won't be a problem. You will crush the highest tier and get maximum rewards on a monk. In group DPS, this is where they're finally falling. This is where you're actually seeing the nerf. The monk is not going to be the trash clear. It's just not strong enough anymore. But it may still be the very best Rift Guardian killer. It may be better than Ereshkigal. So you may still bring the monk as a group DPS. And you can certainly play Ina speeds or Wave of Light speeds as well. So they're doing pretty well in the group DPS category. For supports, they're in fourth. The Z-Monk is the absolute best at keeping people alive, but that's not really the meta in Diablo 3 anymore. The meta is to take a ZDH or a Z-Barb and just do as much damage as possible and just figure out on how to stay alive on your own. So they've kind of fallen out of fashion there. And for casuals, guess what set monks get? It's actually kind of terrible because all the best sets are being given in the same season. They are going to give you Inas at the start. That means if you start with Inas and you get one pair of boots, you're already crushing the game. All you got to do is do your seasonal journey and get one pair of boots, and that's it. And you already beat the game. It couldn't possibly be any easier on you. So whether you go monk or DH, it's going to be a win. Overall, we have monks in first. Demon hunters are absolutely knocking on the door, but monks are way too good. I'm sorry. The best builds are still Ina allies, some of the other runes, LOD Wave of Light. Tempest Rush is another godly build that monks have. Nobody ever plays that. It's also very good. And the support monk. For Season 27, please buff Raymond. That set is terrible. So now let's quickly take a moment to look at the rankings summary. You can take a screenshot if you'd like. Remember, the Echoing Nightmare is a brand new list, doing my very best to estimate what classes will do well there. We feel very good about the ones at the top and the ones at the bottom, but kind of the cream filling there, the Wizard, the Satyr, the Barb, we'll have to see how that all shakes up. And now let's quickly look at the best builds by category. You can see Ina Ally, Marauder, Wave of Light, the God DH, the Rat Necro are all the, all the usual suspects at the top of the list. Under the Group XP category, in first place, we have Rats, and then after that, we have Wave of Light and Ina and Marauder. I wouldn't make any mistake here. I think Rats are going to be by far the best. I pretty much think everyone's just going to play Rats. But if you have a bunch of friends and you absolutely refuse to play Rats, you can play some of the others to try to get some XP. But it's going to be Rats all the way. And finally, one more screen for you guys. We have the best builds by class. So you can figure out which build you want to put together depending upon what game mode you would like to dominate. Well, that wraps up this season's class tier list, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I'm going to have the leveling guide coming out, the guide on the brand new Raxxanterax Barbarian, and I will have a video talking about my plans for next season, and I want to do something different. I want to dedicate the next season to playing with you guys, the community. We can do whatever you want. We can do keys, we can do bounties, we can do rats, we can do a different XP meta, we can do the real metas and try to push the leaderboards. I want to spend time with you guys, and I want to help you guys learn about Diablo, help you guys build up your characters, help you find the items, help you re-roll your gear, whatever you need help with, I want to teach you and spend time with you for, because I've been spending too many seasons just pushing the leaderboards, blasting guns. I think it will be a fun change of pace. Let me know in the comments what you thought about this video. Let me know what you think about the Echoing Nightmare in the next season. And many more videos are coming. Thanks, guys.